Um, and then it went to 12,000 in 2021. 2022 um, was 16,000. And right now we're at about 13,000. And each year this trend is increasing. Um, More social media applications are happening on a daily basis. So I think that also is part of the problem because there are new applications that are happening all the time. And I think the big issue from you could see it from 2020 and 2021. Um, those numbers really jumped in 2022 because individuals were on their social medias through their phones. Parents were busy trying to figure out how to do their job from home and weren't really paying attention to their kids, not in a bad way, but you were looking at trying to figure out your work world in Zooms and or video chats, and kids were supposed to be doing their homework, but they had nothing to do and they jumped on these social media applications. And that's what's really scary right now is that um, more kids are online instead of going outside and doing things outside of their phone. Their phone's like their world right now. And I think that's been a trend since, the pandemic. Um, and this is why the task force was created. It's because more and more kids are using the internet and more illegal materials circulating on the internet, which is child abuse case, so or child abuse material. And more adults are seeking unsupervised connections with kids and teens. And that's the main focus that we have right now. And we're not the only task force that's doing that. We partner with the Department of Justice. The task force is in the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office right now, and we are a statewide task force. So we have ICAC investigators all over the state of Ohio. And there's task force officers throughout the states. So if there's something that happens to a kid in Ohio, let's say the individual that's harming them is in Texas, we have investigators in Texas that we can call and kind of gets an investigation started that way as well. So I think that's important with just kind of understanding what we do. Um, and these are, so an ESP is electronic service provider, and these are where the cyber tips come from. You would think that TikTok would probably be the highest one just based on the fact that all the kids are on TikTok, but it's really Google and Snapchat are still the highest problems that we see with regards to child exploitation material and child abuse material. So those are the two highest, and also Facebook. And I know a lot of teenagers think that Facebook is for old people, but Facebook is really still one of the highest ones that we see with regards to having problems and having these cyber tips happen. Um, and then, so these are just some numbers again with regards to um, the differences between, I can just let you know about human trafficking. Ohio is one of the top human trafficking states. I think it's one or two in the nation. And you can just see that in 2021, 1,161 human trafficking tips were reported. 232 involved sex trafficking, and 72 involved minor children. Now, the bottom is 35 child sex trafficking cyber tips was 0.3%. And then 680 were enticement cyber tips, so that's 5%. So it shows that even though we all know kind of about the human trafficking aspect, the numbers compared to what our task force does with regards to the child exploitation material is way higher. Which is a little shocking to a lot of people because they think that human trafficking is more reported, but the cyber tips that we see are more from the National Center. Okay. And so this is like what we like to show is just kind of the demand of the problem and I'm sure none of you are surprised that 60% of it is the content. So this is when individuals share pictures and or videos of a child engaged in or in a sexual activity or naked. And that's what the big problem is right now with regards to the content. And so I think the one main thing that we can do as parents is the privacy settings. Keep your social media accounts private. I don't know if any of you know how to do that. I hope you do. Um, and this is meaning you keep your accounts private. You don't interact with anyone that you don't know on social media applications. And it's a good rule of thumb because it still adds a protective layer of, a stranger might not ask your child to be friends with them if they see that they're private. A lot of times these individuals like people that aren't private because they have easier access. And then this just shows um, these are kind of ways you can find it on certain social media applications. You go to the privacy setting and then you go to the activity status. Those are just some ways that you can find to make your account private. And then it's Snapchat. You have a ghost mode. I hope all of you are in ghost mode because um, individuals can really track you down based on your location with regards to Snapchat. Okay, so the main thing is we always get asked is talking with your children about privacy. And, as an adult, we understand that. Um, oh, um, we understand that you want to keep your life private. Even though, I have a social media account with Facebook and Instagram, but I only accept people that I know, and my accounts are private. Obviously, with the job that I do, I don't want all of my pictures of my family or friends to be looked at. Or, sometimes you post when you're on vacation and you don't want someone to know that you're on vacation, right? Those are just simple examples of why we understand our accounts are private. But our kids don't understand that if they start posting from the moment that they get up to the moment that they go to bed, they're sharing examples of where they are living, what schools they go to. I know a big problem is, if you're wearing a hoodie from Westlake High School, you're going to know that they go to Westlake High School, or it's more likely than not that they do. Sometimes they take pictures of their bedroom. Sometimes they take pictures of their bathroom, just selfies, and that is giving predators options of looking at, um, who they are, what they're about, when they leave for school, when they come home from school. And if their accounts are open and not private, someone will know everything from the moment they get up till the time that they go to bed. And it sounds very silly to kids, but because they want people to know what they're doing. We live in a world that they want instant gratification, and they want people to know where they're doing, who they're with, and these are what predators look for. And so that's why we have to really focus on telling them that behavior is very risky, because what's the number one place that kids have their cell phone? It's in their bedroom. And how many pictures of their friends and family do they have in their bedroom? Um, you can get a location if it's are they in a one like let's see if they're in their bedroom, is it on a first floor or a second floor? Those are things that people can see if they are posting in their bedrooms. Um, and then the next problem that we're seeing um, is gaming and safety on the internet. um, these video games, a lot of the problems we see are people interacting with individuals that are online that they don't know. So, like Roblox and Fortnite, you can talk to individuals that are your friends unless you have a parental lock on who they can talk to. Um, Now, video games do put age guidelines on there, but I can't tell you um,
Fallon, your voice got a little distorted with this gaming and internet safety thing.
Okay.
Can we, start this gaming part once again and see if we can
Hmm.
hear it a little more clearly? Please, my apologies.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't see anybody unmuted other than myself. I'll mute myself. Yeah, but your voice is still a little distorted.
Is this better for everyone?
Um, I think so,
No.
slightly better. Somehow, is there something we can do?
Um, um, it was okay. Maybe it is the slide. I'm actually also getting my own echo also. Can it be, can you go to the next page?
I should stop sharing the screen so I can try to share it again.
Okay.
How is my voice now? Is it still
Yeah, I think,
distorted?
yeah, it came
It's
back.
good.
Came back. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so can we start with
So
the gaming thing? Yeah.
okay, so the video games put guidelines on the ages of children, but let's be honest, our kids are smarter than that, and they can put up a fake date of birth, and that happens all the time. Um, and they want to play these games, they want to be able to participate in them. So that's something that you really need to talk to your kids about. If they are going on these gaming sites, we need to make sure that they are only talking to individuals that they know. Because there are age restrictions for a reason, but if they are going to get around it, you need to really know who they're talking to. Um, so I think the number one focus that we ask for is to kind of set some boundaries with your kids, establish how long they're on the internet for, who they're interacting for, and what apps they're using. I think those are kind of the basics that you can talk to your kids about and set those timelines up. Also, you can use some of these parental control apps. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one's the best one or not, but these are some options. Net Nanny, I know a lot of people like to use. And these are just parental control apps. And I know a lot of people like Life 360 and Bark. Those are a lot of the ones that we see individuals use a lot. And I think that's those are good tools that you can use as a parent to kind of understand what your kids are doing and protect them. Um, so let me see. The one thing that I will say, kids know more about what you're doing on the internet than you do. Um, yeah, I just saw that Suma wrote that Life 360 is really good. Life 360 is probably the most used one that I've seen in our presentations. Individuals do really like the Life 360. But I will say this, that your kids know more about the internet, what applications they are using. So what we would tell you to do is really immerse yourself into those applications. If your child is into using Discord, download Discord, learn how to use it. If your child uses Snapchat, download Snapchat, use Snapchat, understand what those applications are doing and what you can do about your child's safety on there. If you have a good relationship with your child, it is also good to ask them to teach you about the application. Show them that you care about what they're doing, because you can have a common ground with them. A lot of these applications are hard to understand and how to use. But if you show some interest with your children about it, they're more likely to tell you how it works. And knowledge is trust, or knowledge is a tool that you can use, and your kids will really start to trust you if you know what applications they're using, and not just to spy on them, just to kind of show that you have a common interest of what they're doing. Just like if you were going to their sporting events, I think that's really important, you know, Fortnite is huge. I know my nephew's 9 and he loves Fortnite, but you know, my brother had to learn what Fortnite was and how to use it. And I think that's important because then they're going to tell you what they're doing on that gaming app. So I think that's something that you can do as a parent, and that's easy to do. Again, there's going to be another slide about the demand of problem. Now, our number one issue right now is the sexting. There's a lot of sexting going on with regards to teenagers and individuals in grade schools. So 1 in 5 girls, that's the ages between 13 and 17, have stated that they've shared their own nude images. 1 in 10 boys, the same age, stated they've shared their own nude images. 40% of teens agree that that's normal, and 1 in 5 teen agrees that it is okay to share a nude photo over an application that doesn't save it. Now, that to me is what we really need to talk to your kids about, is that these images do not go away. So even in Snapchat, when they say, oh, they disappear, well, you cannot control what you send out. So once you hit send, everyone that you've sent that to has control over you. So they can screenshot it, they can save it, they can send it to other people. Now, with Snapchat, that doesn't go away. Now we would have to get a search warrant to get it. So even if it does disappear, those photos still don't go away. And I've had numerous cases with regards to this application where individuals thought the photos would go away, and they don't. So, for instance, I had a case with a teacher was posing online in Snapchat, and he acted like he was a teenager, and he was actually a teacher at the middle school. He was befriending individuals that he taught or was the track coach for, and he would ask them for pictures of their face. If they sent a picture of their face, he would send them $50. If they sent a picture of their naked body, he would send them a $250 gift card. If they sent a sex video, he would give them more money. So every time they would send something more, he would give them more money. He spent over $30,000 giving these individuals or getting photos from individuals. We had 8 victims, and he was finally caught by a group of girls that really were just like, we really want to know who this is. But some of these girls were being extorted, and they asked him to stop, and they were self-harming themselves. And they were afraid that they were going to go to jail. They were afraid they were going to be classified as a child predator because of these photos. And that's really what we got to our kids about, is, you know, giving these photos to people in the wrong hands is really the issue. And it could really damage your reputation. It could damage the rest of your high school, just because you're going to feel depressed or sad, and you know, you could be charged with a crime. Not that we want that to happen, but those are realities of what can happen, and that could really affect your future. And so that's why the sexting issue is such an issue with regards to sexting. And that teacher went to prison, and I bring that case up because this is someone that a teacher is someone you're supposed to go to if you're having problems, and he really took advantage of his relationship with his students, and I think that's an important aspect to remember. So how do we talk to our parents about sexting prevention and conversations? So I really think the relationship you have with your kids is something that really helps with this situation. I always joke that my mom passed away in 2018, but I'm still afraid of her. But when I was growing up, she told me, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother. And if something happens, you come to me. You don't tell your friends, you come to me. And I say this because I think our kids are afraid and they don't know what to do. And the more open conversation you have with them is really helping them. And so, you know, sexting with someone that you think is your friend or your boyfriend or girlfriend really can harm you in the future. I had a case where individuals were trading their girlfriend's photos. And so a whole team had their girlfriend's photos being exchanged, and none of the girls knew. And that's something that, they thought it was private between someone that they thought that there was, they loved or thought that they were going to be in a relationship forever for, and they were exchanging them. And that can really hurt you. And some of these girls do self-harm after that. And that's what we need to have this open conversation. Even if your kids don't want to listen, they're going to come talk to you if you tell them about it. And we really have to have the conversation that sexting is not okay. There's plenty of magazines for adults that are like, this is the best way to sex. This is important in your relationships. We really have to say that sexting is not okay. And we really need to say, we got to stop it. You shouldn't be doing this. And we do prosecute sexting cases. In the state of Ohio, that is a sex offense. If you send a naked photo to someone under the age of 18 or someone receives it of a naked photo of someone under the age of 18, and you could be classified a sex offender. And that could really, that can get in the way of your financial aid, that can get in the way of a school you want to go to, military, because it is a sex offense. And now obviously in juvenile court, we are trying to do different things now. We have a sexting diversion program because this is such an issue. We are able to put people in diversion programs. So, for instance, if a boyfriend and a girlfriend exchange a nude photo and a teacher sees it or a principal sees it, those two individuals are able to go to a diversion program in juvenile court. That program was thought up by the prosecutor's office, the public defender's office, and the court in juvenile court. Because this is becoming such an issue, and those laws were not meant for our kids to be sex offenders. Those child pornography statutes were meant for adults that were trying to get children to get those photos. So I think that's important. That's an important tool that we're able to have in our courts. Now, I don't know what other counties do, but I know that's important in our county to have this sexting diversion program, because we want kids to be educated instead of, being classified as sex offender. So those are things that we really need to talk about. Now, the big issue that we are seeing is the sextortion. I hope everyone's heard of sextortion. Sorry, my slide went by. So sextortion is a crime that's happening when an adult convinces a minor to share an explicit photo, or they perform a sex act online. And this is affecting all teenagers. And it's really affecting more boys than girls. However, you can see the statistics here. 45%, it's happened on more than one platform. It's happened on social media applications, and it's happened even on gaming platforms. And this sextortion is really scary in the sense that the state of Ohio does not have a sextortion law. So we in the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office charge it as extortion, because that's the most fitting statute that in the state of Ohio, which is not a sex offense. It's just a felony of the third degree, which is probationable. The state of Michigan is the only state that I know of right now that does have a sextortion law, because it is becoming such a problem. This is, I think, the biggest case that we saw in Ohio right now is the young man named James Woods. He took his own life after he sent a photo to a girl that he was talking to. And I will show you some of the chats. His parents are now advocating for a sextortion law in the state of Ohio. So, sorry, it's pausing. Okay. Okay, so this is what kind of, you can see, this is what a cyber tip looks like when we receive it. And it was a priority level 2, which just means that there's a possible risk. Now, this cyber tip came in after James had already committed suicide. So, you know, these online platforms try to do the best that they can, but he had already committed suicide when our office received this cyber tip. And we received some text messages, and you could see that these individuals don't speak quite clearly like we do in the United States, because a lot of these individuals are from a different country. And they have like internet cafes that they find individuals like James that is on these social media applications that isn't private. And what they do is they look at your social media application, they grab pictures of your family, your friends, and then they also threaten you with regards to, you know, if you don't do this, we're going to harm your parents. We know you live at this address. We know you go to this school. We know this is the sport that you play. And they really do their research before they start the conversation with these individuals. So these are actual text messages that were received. It says, I want you to pay $6,000 for the total removal of this video that could harm your life. The next two are, I swear to God that you may regret it throughout your life. So you may have the right to keep silence and answer me if you really care about your life. You know very well that once this video will be on social networks, you will lose everything in your life. So these are messages that he received during this time. And you know what the worst part was? He was with his parents when he was receiving these text messages, but was too afraid to tell his parents. And this is obviously the suspect. Hello, how are you? Victim, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Suspect, nice to meet you. I'm from Ohio, and you? Victim, I'm also in Ohio. It's nice to meet you too. Suspect, okay, I'm employed at Amazon, and you? Victim, I'm actually unemployed. My parents said that I don't gotta work if I do 2 sports. So those are just kind of like how they start out with talking to the kids. And you know, he received over 220 text messages in 19 hours, telling him that if he didn't pay, he was going to go to jail. He was going to be a pedophile. His parents wouldn't love him. And that's really what you have to focus in when you're talking to your kids. Don't blame them for what's happening, because they don't know what to do. Our kids really don't know what to do when they get into these situations. And I like to say, you know, I am 40 years old, but we didn't have these problems when I was growing up. And I'm not sure I could say that I wouldn't have been in a situation like these kids are, where you take a picture and you don't know what the ramifications are. And, you know, the big thing is, if this does happen to your kids, don't continue to talk to these offenders. That's what they want to do. Make sure that you screenshot all of these chats with the offender's profile. Don't delete them, because if you delete them, there's nothing that we can do. A lot of times these individuals are overseas, like I said. However, a lot of them aren't. We were able to, as a task force, track down a case where a girl in Cuyahoga County was being extorted, and her mom did not know. And then she got very depressed, and she started cutting herself and manipulating herself. And they were able to track him down in another state. So because she kept all the text messages, she kept the screen name of the individual. So those are things that we really need to focus on if this does happen. I know it's very hard, but also you can always turn off your phone. I know specifically in our area, we have great police departments with regards to detectives that can handle these type of cases. not just our task force, but Westlake, Rocky River, those two cities really do know how to handle the sextortion type cases. So please, if this is happening to your child, please reach out to someone, because this is really really important, and our kids are really getting in trouble with this stuff. And we don't want your kids to be charged with a crime because this is happening to them. We want to prevent this from happening, and as our task force, we really do want to get the individuals that's doing this to our kids. So that's important with sextortion. Now, you can go to the hotline. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this, but it's very easy to make a report. I would first call the police, though. I would not go to report the cyber tip immediately. I would first go to the police and turn off the phone, call the police. Don't do anything, don't engage with these individuals, because that's what they want. And then you can report it through a cyber tip line. And it's really easy. You go to reportcybertip.org and you just kind of fill out what's happening to you or someone that you care about. And it's really easy to do, and it's at your fingertips. Let me see. All right. And this is what I just talked about, documenting an incident. Take screenshots, don't delete anything, don't retaliate or respond. Don't conduct your own investigation. That's very important. We really want the professionals to take care of this if this is happening. Make a detailed report to your local law enforcement officers, and make the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children cyber tip. I will say this, though, if this is a situation that you are in, I would make sure you tell the investigators everything, because it might not seem important to you, but every detail really helps in these type of cases. Because it comes down to is how can we track this individual down, and everything that you have about this individual can help, even if it's a initial or somewhere where they said that they were. Some of these cases happen very quick, but some of them are days-long conversations. So any detail that you have is really important if it does come to that. I hope it doesn't, but that's really things that we need as law enforcement officers to solve these cases. Now, this is the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children is a great resource. They have tons of resources for parents to go to. If you didn't see something that I was talking about, you can go to these classes or these websites, so you can kind of read up about certain things. Specifically, if this is more of an overview about sextortion and sexting and our basic problems, but you can go to their websites, and they have resources for specific cases. They even have now our website, the ohioicac.org, has documentation where you can talk even to toddlers and young children about these things. So it's like, you have a toddler, how do we address these issues, which is kind of sad that you even have to worry about it as young as toddlers. And so these are really good resources that you really need to kind of look into to educate yourself. I think that's just another one. So that's the end of my the PowerPoint. Do you guys have any questions with regards to anything in the PowerPoint? Okay.
Thank you, Fallon. This is really helpful. One question I do have is I know it is, we have to talk to our kids and such, right? But is there any way, like for us as parents, to like look at our kids and see something that would trigger this kind of, something is happening in his or her life? kind of a situation so that then we can take the next step?
So I think the one thing is, no one knows your kids better than you. And a lot of these cases with regards to our kids, a very active child becomes very lethargic. They hide in their rooms. They don't want to talk. You really have to see the cues that your kids are giving you. Um, because if they become less social, they're hiding out in their room and they're usually not, those are cues that something's going on. I will say this, I think your children do need to have privacy with when it comes to your cell phones. That might not be the popular opinion here, but um, you know, you can look at their phones. I will say I had a case where a mom thought she was doing everything she could because she was looking at her child's cell phone every night at 8:30. And he her child was a victim, and an individual man went to their home to meet him, um and for sexual gratification. And his her son's reaction was, well, I knew my mom checked my phone every night at the same time, so I would delete the application before my mom came to the room. And then I would re-download the application when my mom gave me my phone back. So our kids really do know what you're doing as a parent, but you have to kind of switch it up. If you want to look at their phone, I wouldn't look at the same time every day. Um, Maybe not even look at it every day, but kind of give them, you have the upper hand with regards to, tell me, look, let me look at your phone. You really do have that upper hand. I would also know if you are the account holder, if you're downloading applications, make sure that they have to go through your account to download these applications, because you're going to see if something was downloaded or re-downloaded or deleted. So those are things that you have in your power to use as a parent.
Thank you.
Okay, so I saw a picture. Um,
We do have a question in chat.
yes, I'm reading it right now. So I think the biggest problem that we see is Snapchat. And unfortunately, I laugh because my son is now only 9 weeks, and my husband's like, you're not going to let him have Snapchat if that's still the cool thing. And I wouldn't, because Snapchat is really one of those devices that are one of those applications that you can't really know what your kid is doing unless you make them save every chat that they have, because they do disappear. And so that is a really hard application for anyone that is using that, because even if you're friends with your child on these Snapchat accounts, you're not seeing everything that they're doing. You're not seeing the messaging to their friends or their families. And now I know that there is Facebook Messenger, and I will say that that's a good tool with regards to, you can set up who they're talking to with, it's a Facebook Kids Messenger. So that's a good one, that I think you can really lock down who they're talking to. Um, and that's just in my opinion. So that's not, I just take it with a grain of salt, but like that's one that I really think you can lock down. I think the best way to do this is, if your kids are on these social media applications, make sure they are locked down, see who they're friends with, look at their friends, and look at their phones. See, the big one is the calculator. If they have more than one calculator on their phone, that's not a calculator. That's an application that is something beneath it. So those are things that you as a parent can look at, and see, why do you have two calculators on your phone? And if they don't have a reason, or ask them to show it to you. Sometimes, they could be upset with you for a little bit, but it really is life or death situations with some of these people that they're communicating with. I hope that answered your question. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? No, Snapchat is not really, there's not a way to really monitor it. You can be friends with your kids. You can see what they're publicly sharing, but you can't see who they're talking to unless you tell them to save all their chats. And I would also watch out for, you know, a lot of these students have different Instagram accounts. So they have one that their parents will be friends with, and then they have a second account. So make sure you know how many accounts your kids do have, and I would follow all of them. So that's important.
So,
Any
so another thing that at least I can think of is like screen time monitoring, right? So that may be one of an way to see if there is any increase in their usage of cell phones and such. What do you think about screen times?
Yeah, you can see, I think a lot of times if they're not on their phone, again, as a parent, you know if your child is going through something. You might not be able to tell what's happening, but you do know what's something is changing. If they're not on their cell phone enough, you know, there could be a problem going on, or they could be dealing with something. And it doesn't need to be the sextortion, it could be the cyberbullying. They could, you know, that does happen a lot. I did put down I pulled one of these up. Let me see if I can pull it up for you again. The cyberbullying is also a problem, and you could see when the kids stop being on their phones. And we can go there. This is one that I pulled up. I'm going to share my screen again. Hopefully it doesn't distort me again. But this one, can you guys see this? It says smart parenting tips for online safety.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we do.
So this is a really good device that you, or a really good tool. It says set up devices, accounts, and passwords. And that's for you as a parent to do. Monitor their online use and their connections, because and this is the thing, kids think that you're spying on them and you're not. And I wish I can zoom this in a little more. I don't know if you guys can see it
We can.
very clearly. But it's really about keeping them safe. And again, the applications and the games that they're downloading, you can put the parental control on that if you are allowing them to download these applications or not. And then restrict the content and who they're allowed to talk to, and age appropriate resources. What applications should kids be on versus an adult? And really start the conversation with them. And like I said, don't be afraid to ask them to teach you the application that they're on. There's no shame in asking them, you know, I really want to be involved in your life. What applications are you using? Tell me about Fortnite. Tell me about Roadblocks. And I think they're going to be very open to doing that. I know it sounds silly, but it does really help. And this is one of those one of these, this format that I saw, this smart cheat sheet, was on the Ohio ICAC.org website. So that's one that you can go, and they have resources like this just to help you with that. Okay, so the question is, how do kids, you should not be opening any unsolicited links, because you do not know who is sending you what. Even if a friend sent it to you, you should not be doing that. A lot of the cases that we see in juvenile court do happen with individuals that say they got a link from a friend and didn't know what it was. And that could cause lots of problems. So never open an unsolicited link. Don't open links that you don't know who they're coming from. And even if you met this person online, do not open links that you don't think you know what the content is. That's the best way to really hammer into your kids. Don't open things that you don't know what they are.
And if they do open something like that, then how do they, report it? I mean, how does that work?
So there are, in a lot of these applications, they're all different, but you can go to, there's a place where you can block the individual, report the individual. So I would, whatever application you're in, whatever website you're on, there is a way to report a user. So that is something that I would do. And you can block that individual as well. And that's ways you can document what happened. But you can at least say that you had reported it, and that's the best way to do it when you're on that website. Report the user and then block the user.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one more question before Vidya's question, Fallon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sindhu, is there any specific resources to keep us parents updated on what's happening in cybercrime towards kids other than news?
So I think the best way to do that is every day, I go to news websites all the time. And I know the news is that was like, other than the news, I think the best way to learn about things is through the news. I will read and Google cases with regards to internet crimes every day, to see what's happening in our city, other states. And I think that's a good tool for parents, because sometimes they'll show you what applications kids are on and how things have affected the news. So that's something that is really important, because I think even there's a case a couple of months ago, maybe even last year, where a certain suburb had a class that was being recorded, and something happened on the recording of the class. And it wasn't a Zoom, but it was it was a new technology, and I was able to kind of learn about that technology. So even if you might not think it's important, you can understand, oh, what is Zoom? What can I learn about Zoom, and how does Zoom work? And so those are ways you can learn about new technology and new applications. Like a lot of people didn't know about threads on Instagram. Like Instagram was promoting threads, but you really had to kind of research what threads was. It's like their new Twitter. And before it came out, the only way you can really learn about it was through the news. So I think that's a really important tool. Just to Google, and you don't have to do it every day. I do it every day because this is the job that I'm in, but that's one way to do it. Unfortunately, there's not one website that can tell you about up-to-date applications, because there's more applications being made daily, and there are a lot of them daily. And so I wish there was a one place you can go. But honestly, the news is probably the best way to look at it. Now, you can go to, like I said, you can go to ohioicac.org. They give you as much up-to-date information as they can with regards to resources, but they might not have the most up-to-date information about it. And I'm talking about news places that are reputable, like I local newses, or national newses, where they have, even in other countries, they can show you what they're doing and what they're dealing with. So I think that's the most helpful for me anyways. That's how I learn about a lot of new applications as well. Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
Any other questions?
Can you please repeat the website address?
I can put it.
That'll be helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
This smart, parenting tips for online safety, will you be able to share that with us, Fallon?
Yes. Yes, I can email it to you for sure.
Yes,
I had another one too in here. I was trying to think of. This was it's a bullying one. I don't know if you guys would be interested in this one.
yes.
And this is I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little bright, so I don't know how well it's coming through, but it's like starting the conversations with cyberbullying. And it really just goes through what is cyberbullying and the potential effects. And these are the effects that you want to look for if your kids are doing that, like low self-esteem when they had a higher self-esteem, anxiety, depression, not talking to your family members if you always do talk to your family members, their school grades are going down. Those are things that you really need to look into for your kids. And it just shows you signs of like what you really can look at to if this is happening and what we can do. And it just gives you tips about engaging with your child online. Start the conversation. Because even though we all are a lot older than our kids right now, bullying still happened in high schools, in grade schools, and we were all affected by it at one point or another. You understand what a kid is feeling if they are being bullied. It might not be to the same level because it's online, but you still remember if you had a bad day at school and the person that did that to you. Or you can at least appreciate what your child is going through. And I think that's something that we have to remember as adults. We live through grade school and high school, and we live through those interactions that sometimes people weren't nice to you, and some people, and it hurt you. And those are things that you have to remember when you're talking to your kids, because you have to appreciate that this level of bullying might not be the same level that you may have experienced, but you can appreciate what they're going through and how important it feels like at that time, because high school seems like the most important part of your world. And yet you have so much more of your life to live after high school and after grade school. And so that's why we really need to make sure that our kids are safe at their home. When I grew up in the 80s, and we were always taught that the dangers were outside of your home. We can't say that anymore because our dangers are inside the home, because every one of us has our cell phone day in and day out. We're using our cell phones. And the danger is coming into your home. And that's something that is hard to accept and hard to acknowledge. But that's why we have to make sure our kids understand that they're safe and they're safe to come to you. And we can understand, we're not the cool parents because we don't let them on Snapchat. That should, unfortunately, you got to be tough sometimes.
Yeah. That's
I know you had some other questions, Vidya, on the flyer. Did I answer all of them?
I think so. Let me just have a look. I think the main thing was protecting against online predators, safeguarding against sextortion, ensuring the safety of our children online, how to respond to unsolicited links. Nothing is private online. Somehow we have to make our children understand that. And the best part is this the Q&A session that you're doing right now. So these are important. I mean, we did recently see a case that was being circulated in our group where some kid, just was messing around, and he said that he's going to blow up a plane. And then next thing we know, that kid was fined and was, I think the plane was brought down. But this has nothing to, it's a different case. But I guess it all boils down to children understanding, that they need to be careful about what they post online and the ramifications if they are not thoughtful, about these posts.
Right. And I think I know it seems like a huge difference that everything's online, but we still had those type of problems growing up, right? So I think that's important to remember that, not that it's the same, but when I was in high school, Columbine first happened. And then for a very, very long time, if someone had even mentioned something with regards to shootings or things like that, the police were called to their house, and it was taken very seriously. And so you really have to equate those situations to what our kids are dealing with online. So with the person saying that news article that you're talking about, he was going to blow up a plane. Those are we still have those same situations. It's just at a broader audience because of the online situations. And those are things that we can relate to because we grew up in those kind of situations, but maybe not to the broadband that it is right now, but we can understand it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another thing was like you mentioned, like there were some laws that are, updated in Michigan. How is Ohio doing in terms of, growing up with this digital age and, adapting their laws, to children? Because I believe it all takes time, right? Typically with governmental agencies. I mean, that growing up part takes much longer compared to other agencies.
How's
And
the game, Karavig?
sorry.
I don't know. No, so I will say, unfortunately, a lot of these laws don't change until something happens. And, I think a good example of that is the young man that was hazed at Bowling Green. His parents really advocated for a hazing law to have more stringent consequences because he died because of this hazing situation. And sometimes tragedy is what really gets some of the lawmakers to go forward. And, I think that's what the Woods family is trying to do right now. They are really trying to advocate for, um, a sextortion law to happen and people to be more involved in learning about sextortion. I know there were some state reps that were trying to there in Massachusetts. I don't know if a lot of you know about the case where there's a young girl that told her boyfriend to kill himself, and there was text messages, and she was convicted of a crime because he listened to her and he ultimately took his life. And Massachusetts is coming up with a law with regards to the texting and specific cases with regards to what she did. But I think a lot of our lawmakers are trying to come up with that law and bring it to here and kind of have sextortion in that law. Now, right now, that's not happening, but I think they're working on it. But it does take time. With regards to the sextortion, I think it is going to take a little bit of time. But I think a lot of people are now learning and understanding how bad this pandemic is with regards to our kids, because a lot of kids aren't even telling parents about this that's happening to them. Now, with regards to the sexting, I think that's why that diversion program is a great tool for Cuyahoga County, because we don't want individuals to be classified sex offenders for sending a photo to someone that they're in a relationship with. Now, is it right? No, we want them to understand that they shouldn't be doing that, but we also don't want them to be a sex offender because of that. So I think those are kind of things that each county and each state's trying to kind of maneuver on what they can do. But it's going to take time. I mean, I've been in ICAC, or the Internet Crimes Against Children, for 4 years. And we're still evolving, and there's still things that I'm doing. Our commander has been in our position for 15 years, and it's evolved since he became our commander. So I think we just, in a world of the digital internet, or the digital world that we're living in, we need to really just kind of educate ourselves and be ready for what's to come.
Right. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any more questions, moms, dads, if you're attending? Okay.
I do not see anything else in the chat, Vidya.
I think you covered everything very well, Fallon. Thank you so much. I mean, this was really an eye-opening workshop for all of us, and you truly emphasize the importance of staying in sync with the kids so we can communicate with each other openly. We are very grateful to you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this for us, and we wish you all the best in your upcoming election on March 19th, and
you.
can't wait to see all the wonderful things you will do as a judge.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. If you guys need any more resources or any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yes, I will do that. Yes. If there is any more resources that you can share with me, I will, pass them on to the moms, like, in the group. So it'll be helpful to go over this.
Okay, great. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
You too. Thank you, dear.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.